I am so thrilled. We're here at the NRF show in January in New York City. I'm thrilled to be sitting with you in person,
Yes.
Matthew. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Usually we do our virtual podcasting and stuff, but I have them in person.
well, thank
So
you for having me, and thank you for all the work that we did with the Crave Retail Radicals. It's been super fun to acknowledge some of the best people in the space. So here we are again, another year at NRF.
another year in NRF, and you're absolutely right. I love recognition. It's the best thing about our industry is
Yeah,
recognizing the top people and all the
yeah.
work that people do. So
And now we're in a big room of all the change makers.
I know. Wow, there's a lot going on out there. But
Yeah,
what I'd like to focus on, first of all, Matthew Sear,
yeah,
CEO founder of Crave Retail.
yeah,
And I'd love to talk to you. So, one of the things that a lot of retailers come to me and ask me, and so there's all this, obviously, there's so much technology here,
yeah,
AI, agentic AI, and all these things. But a lot of the retailers are asking, you know, how can I then connect all this in that
yeah,
shopping journey? So, they're looking for this kind of connected experience with the
yeah,
store because the consumer doesn't care
yeah.
how many things you're doing behind the scenes. They just
Sure.
want that experience when they walk through the doors.
Yeah,
And I know Crave Retail, you are a pioneer in the space. You
yeah.
just launched H&M Dubai, so
Yeah, that was a
congratulations on
amazing
that.
visit,
That's
amazing brand,
amazing.
amazing visit. It's so cool to see so many different brands check out the experience and talk about, oh, it actually works and it's remarkable and the experience it drives. And they're asking about, can you do this insight and can you get this data point? And we have to show them, and they're like, this is what we've been waiting for so long. So yeah, it's been a really great few months, great several years. We're 7 years in business now.
That's
So
great. And you work
yeah.
with some of the top brands, Victoria's Secret, Under
Yep.
Armour,
Yeah, yeah,
Dior.
and we
So
have a lot more that you guys are gonna learn more about this year. I wish I could share more, but, once you visit those stores, you'll know it's Crave.
I love it. So
Yeah,
kind of take
yeah,
us, can you talk us through this connected store idea?
yeah. Well, I think I'll take us back, right? So
Yeah.
where did my origin in retail start? A good friend of mine asked me if I could manage an Abercrombie& and Fitch store, and at the time, I thought, not sure if I really want to get into retail and manage an Abercrombie and Fitch store. It just seemed like a lot as a 20-year-old kid. And I did it and I loved it. And I fell in love. I worked with Abercrombie and Fitch for a couple of years. I worked for Skechers for 7 years. I got the opportunity to move overseas and manage over 300 stores with Skechers.
Oh my
And
God.
one of the things that always got to me was I would get a call during my quarterly updates with our team to say, hey, here's what performance was last quarter. We missed conversion rate, or we did this, or this happened. And it was always reactive, right? We were sort of always saying, okay, what can we do moving forward? And then we would implement a strategy that couldn't be measured in any way. And we would go on flights every single week to say, are you guys doing what we said? How is it working? We would then see at the end of the month, here's a conversion rate, here's the basket size, here's the sell through, always reacting.
Yeah.
And I thought, this doesn't make sense, right? One, I shouldn't be flying to go see stores that were obviously perfectly equipped to look as they should during my visit. But I thought, as a store manager, as a district manager, my responsibility is every minute with every shopper. I should know exactly at any moment if we're up, if we're doing the right things with our customers, if we're introducing the right products, if our performance is low, let's just say fitting room traffic, or if we're not engaging with enough customers, or if they're not trying on enough products. If I have that insight daily, I would actually have the tools to impact the metric that I'm being held accountable to. And so for me, when a lot of different leaders say, what's the connected store strategy, it's actually developing a store, a physical store, that's got a pulse of everything that's happening between your inventory, your shoppers, your store teams, what's being bought, what's not being bought, so you can respond to it in real time. And I feel like we're finally entering into an era where brands are maturing a lot of this infrastructure, right? I know I'm kind of rambling on here, but I think this is like an awesome moment to be at NRF, to be in physical stores, because if you think about RFID, everyone's chatting about
Yeah.
RFID. So if you're not here, that's the theme, RFID and AI. It's really getting blended right now. We didn't
Finally.
even we didn't even know the product in our store. So this idea of actually being proactive with inventory information, I couldn't even do it then. But today, many brands have matured their RFID developments. They have the right infrastructure in place. They have foot traffic counting. They have computer vision investments. They have task management that's monitoring how store associates are performing. They got solutions like Crave. Like everything's now in a spot to be fully connected, and we have to just work together to connect it all.
I remember you told me this story, and I forget the term you used, but when you have a customer coming into the store and they're looking for something specific,
Yeah.
and if you don't have that specific,
Yeah.
size 12, red hot wide leg jean or
Yeah.
whatever, they leave,
Yeah.
and you never know what,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you told me this story about series of options and choices. Can you kind of walk through that example
Yeah.
of what that looks like in today's connected shopping journey?
Yeah. Well, look, if you have RFID today, you've done the first step, right? I call RFID like a mirror. You finally know exactly who you are, right? You know what inventory you have in your store, but the mirror doesn't yet know if you're wearing the wrong shirt with that pair of denim, right? It just says you've got a shirt on and you've got denim. You've done that part. But we have a few brands now that are really leaning into what we're calling our out of stock demand. So this is you. Let's just say you walk up to a denim wall, which RFID says, "Hey, we've got everything that we should have in stock," and you're looking for a certain size, and they don't have that size. Now, you're either chasing a store team member, you're out looking for the product somewhere else, maybe you're trying to
On my
think about it,
phone.
you're on your phone seeing if it's online, you walk out. Right? You talked about not knowing information about shoppers. Like, if you think about it, 7 out of 10 shoppers are leaving your store every single day, and you don't know anything about them. And the three that do, right, like the 70 to 30% analysis, right, the 30% that do already made a bunch of decisions. So for Crave, what we're thinking is, okay, when Shelley's in that moment looking for something, we should immediately be able to show her other products that are available in her size. We should be able to show her similar items, maybe nearby stores, in that very moment of recognizing that friction. So we get you into that product. We should be saving the associate time from not having to do that manually, which computers can do that, tell you what's in stock or not immediately, but the brands can actually get this out of stock demand, which complements that RFID investment. One of the retailers we worked with learned that a portion of their stores were getting a lot of demand for double extra larges and extra larges. Now they're planning. I worked in planning and merchandising for a couple of years at Skechers. We would have just been celebrating a positive sell through, and we just would have been replenishing as we normally would.
Right.
Now we know you might be selling through, but you missed out on selling an extra 40 units at this store because you didn't have enough of the thing that people needed. There's no way to capture that unless you're directly connecting with your shoppers on the sales floor. I think, selfishly, Crave is a shopper engagement platform. I really believe that is the missing part to a fully connected store, because we're going to get you that insight into what shopper behavior is. And then we're going to help you learn, did that influence to a purchase? Did that not? Did it change your buying strategy? Should you rethink about how your assortment is? Do you have to do better training? So much to learn from understanding what your shoppers are doing, whether they buy or not buy.
I love that. And I think it's what I love about the Crave solution is the sophistication of if I go in and I want we'll use purple, I want a purple turtleneck.
Yeah.
You don't know if I really want a turtleneck other color or
Yeah.
if I really want purple. So
Hmm.
by giving me the choice of here are other turtlenecks not
Yeah.
purple and here are other shirts in purple,
Yeah.
now I can make a decision based on is it really the turtleneck I'm looking
Yeah.
for or the color?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
we don't know that
Yeah.
when a customer walks in unless they have a dialogue or they have something, right?
Yeah. 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 100%. And look, stores, they're not getting easier to shop right now because a lot of times they're just not getting easier to staff. It's a challenging market. We see a lot of stores, trying to ask, how do we give you that customer experience with less people? It's really hard, right? And so I think we're kind of at this point where you only can optimize the store teams so much. Put Shelley in control of that decision. Don't make the assumption for her. Put out on a hypothesis. Figure out what she's interested in. Let her discover and curate right there in your stores in the most easy way possible, and then get her trying it on. Because there's nothing better than getting her into the clothes, trying it on, and seeing what it's like.
And when you look at the Gen Z and Gen Alphas, and
Yeah.
they're coming into the shopping environment,
Yeah.
they're expecting to have a very easy, seamless, quick, automated kind of answers to the solutions that
Yeah.
they're looking for when they walk in, right?
Yeah. I think today we're at a different point. Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry, but if you think that every shopper wants to have a highly engaged one-on-one experience, they don't. Right? And those 30% that do, great. I would bet most brands who understand that about their shopper base, they've got it served. But 70% of your customers are coming in and they just want to explore and they want to learn about products. They want to understand your story. They want to make it very easy. We are all time starved today for whatever reasons we've created. We're on a mission. And if it doesn't go perfectly, we're out. Right. So I think for every shopper today of all ages, we have a really strong responsibility to say, how do we help them control their own outcome? How do we give them the tools in real time to just help them have an experience they deserve? And frankly, you think about e-commerce, because they were tracking what shoppers were doing, they continue to optimize that for you, right? The success of e-commerce has been because they know every step of your journey and they can help you make it easier. Maybe sometimes they want you to slow down to curate a whole outfit with the denim you're trying on, but we can't do that in physical retail.
Right.
So how do we create a highly personalized, convenient experience if we're not having any shopper touch points measured and understood as shoppers are going through it? You can have computer vision on your ceiling, but you still don't know if Shelley needs a red or a purple, right? A small or a large. Um, you can know someone's dwelling and waiting, but what do? You have to have touch points that shoppers can finally act on. And we will be able to give you the ability to stitch those sessions together so you can finally have a digital layer of physical retail, just like e-commerce does. And I think that'll allow us to really evolve the in-store experience. I think the brands are ready,
I think
right?
they're definitely right. I think the other complexity layer is that the shopper isn't consistent 100% of the time. What I mean by
Mm,
that is sometimes when I go into the store, I want to get in and out. I'm on a time crunch. I have to do something with the family.
yeah,
And other times I want to chat with someone. So
yeah,
you can't do this solution that always delivers the same for every customer because we change. We
exactly.
change our shopping behaviors based on the situation, our time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's where I think, this connected store finally gives you a pulse of that. You're gonna have, you're gonna know soon which shoppers are in here as loyal customers who are in here every other week, and whether they should have a more high touch personalized experience. And you're gonna know the other one who just likes to come in your store because we're getting close to a world. We're gonna know Shelley walked to the door, and we're gonna know that she checked out. And every time it's 15 minutes. We know Shelley wants in and out, right? And Jenny, on the other hand, we know she likes to take an hour every single time, and she likes to talk to people because she's one of those customers that is always requesting service, asking for help. We know what kind of service she wants. So this connected store that has a pulse of what's happening gives us the tools, gives the store teams, the frontline, the tools to say, I feel equipped to do my tasks that I'm asked to, support the right customers the right way, and know that I've got supporting technology on the sales floor that can answer some of the basic questions so I can do my job well, which is be a human, have a human conversation with Jenny, understand her lifestyle, figure out what she really loves and wants. While meanwhile, Shelly can go up to a denim wall, tap tap, get it in her hands immediately, get out the door.
I love that.
We have a world now where we can create that flexibility.
That's great. Well, first,
Yeah.
I want to say thank you, Matthew, for creating your company because you
Yeah.
and I are very similar in that we just want to make retailers better at what they do. We
Yeah.
want to kind of make the industry better
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
it
We
has
care a
been.
lot.
So we do. We care a lot. I know we're expecting a lot of great big announcements from Crave Retail over the next year. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to share with us?
Um, just keep testing, to anybody watching, keep testing and trying new things in your stores. Your customers want to see freshness. They want to see something new. They want convenience. They want help. Yes, of course, Crave can definitely help you with that. But I'm just very excited that We have an opportunity to work with some of the best brands in the world. We're going to continue to learn what we don't know every day. We're going to implement the things that just make sense. Be practical, right? That's why I tell my team every day, retail is not that complicated. People want to come into your store, they want product to be there, and they want to take that product home. Make that path to purchase super easy for them. But if you don't know what they're doing in your store, how can you ever make it easy for them? So go back to the basics of Retail 101. Make it easy to find a lot of product, make sure your shoppers are servicing them, and make sure you're able to measure the outcome of those changes.
Awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Matthew, so much.
Yep.
Love Crave Retail, and thanks for the Crave Retail Radicals this year.
Thank you for having me here. Exciting. Thank you all.
Thanks. Hi, welcome to Retail Unwrapped Live. I'm so excited that I actually get to see you in person.
I know.
It's been what, a year since I
It's
saw you
been a
in
year.
person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we've connected virtually, but it's always good to be in person.
that's right. So this is Kimberly Miner. She is
Hello.
CEO of Walkra. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. It's always good to talk to you.
I love having you here, and I love the fact you did Lead Like Her, and also you've been on my podcast. But today we're at the NRF show in,
That's
actually the weather's not bad in New York right now in January.
No, it's not bad. I will tell you, I got here this morning around 8 o'clock. And I was really shocked. I walked out, and when the doors opened to the hotel, it was like this burst of cold air. But then when I stepped out, I was like, "Oh, it's not bad. The sun is coming out. This is great."
I think this is the best weather I've ever seen in 30 years here.
Well, the last 3 years have been painful. It's
Horrible.
been so cold that if your nose runs, it freezes before it hits the tip. Like it's been bad. So it's great, and you can tell because it is packed out
It is so
there.
busy this year. That's right.
Yeah, it's really
So
busy.
I'd love to talk to you a little bit. I know you're very busy and your schedule's packed. So first, thank you
Of course.
for spending time with me.
Of course.
But I want to talk about the workforce because I know you're doing a lot of
Yes.
work there. So what is going on with today's workforce? What are you seeing out there?
That is a hot topic. It's a hot topic for a few different reasons. So here are some of the things that are happening in the workforce. So we know that at the beginning of the year with the administration change, there were a lot of changes to policies. And there were preemptive changes so that there weren't issues with certain companies. And all of that affected the workforce. It affected the workforce in that even though we're still at a relatively low 4% unemployment, there are certain groups that have surged in unemployment. And so one of those groups is Black women. Black women are currently at 7.5% unemployment, according to the U.S. labor statistics. And that happened because they overpopulate in government jobs. They overpopulate in frontline jobs. And so how does that affect, right? Well, we know how it affects in the government, but then frontline jobs, we keep hearing about AI, right? And when we think about retail and we think about AI and you go to the store, how many times are you in line because it's self-checkout?
That's right.
Right? And so those are things that we think about. We think about that with Wakra because you have to create this pipeline. So if people are being removed from the pipeline, who's benefiting? Right? And what does that mean for the future? And so, that's what we want to talk about with workforce. And in addition to my work with Wakra, I'm also executive director at the Ohio State.
That is so exciting. And by the way,
Yes.
congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. That was last year, right?
No, it wasn't. It was July.
July.
So yeah, last year. Yeah.
That's
And
great.
so that's also workforce development. And so we have these young people who are so talented and so fresh and excited and passionate about what's next. And then we also have the economic situation that's going to affect, again, workforce development. So how do we create, I think this is at the heart of all of it. How do we create pathways to jobs that aren't traditional, but exist? And how do we prepare people to be flexible so that they are ready when those opportunities open?
Right.
And what does that partnership look like with these companies who are going to have those jobs? Because I don't care, the most self-checkout retailer, you still need customer service.
Definitely.
Right. And so how do we prepare, or how do we direct those who are out there who are in the workforce so that they're ready for those new jobs. That's what keeps me up at night.
I think it's so important. It's kind of like the human side of technology working together. But one thing I want to go back to what you said, which I think is really important, is you talked about making sure people were ready and flexible when things came about. So it's not this, very direct linear career path, and you really do have to be open to opportunities as they arrive or come up, right?
You do. And so yesterday I was part of the executive mentoring with NRF
Of course you
Foundation.
were.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I love it.
it's I've been in this industry for 30 years and I found it. Right. It wasn't a path I prepared for. It wasn't a path that I went to school for, but it was a path that I was flexible enough that I was able to move into it. And it has served me very well because I was ready. Nothing, I didn't have fear that, oh, I didn't study that in a book. I asked questions. I was curious. And so to prepare yourself for that path, this is something I talked to this young people about yesterday. What do you look for? Oh, Kimberly, what do you look for? Like, what's the most important skill? The most important skill to me is curiosity.
Absolutely.
Curiosity. If you don't know what you don't know. Shelley, funny story. I was 10 years into my career. I was at David's Bridal. I had just gotten to David's Bridal as vice president of design. And I had been at Express and Macy's. And had I been in Foot Locker? I've been in Foot Locker. And because I moved very quickly because, put it in front of me and I'm like, right, Miss Pac-Man, like, what can I learn? What can I do? And so I was in a meeting and I was relying on what I knew, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And the CEO of David's Bridal said to me, I'm going to need you to be quiet. He didn't say it like that. I'm saying it much nicer than he said it, but I'm going to need you to be quiet. Why? And he said, because you don't know what you don't know. No one had ever said that to me before because I came into a job and they were expected you to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, you need to learn. And I want to know how curious you are so that you can be better when it's time. And so when I talk to young people or anyone who's like, what do I do? I've been putting in these resumes. I'm not getting the job. I said, well, what are you putting resumes in for? Well, this is what I've done. But how do we apply that differently? What questions can you ask? If you're curious about what your future could look like, then you should be curious about what other opportunities are available. And if you open yourself up to curiosity, you become more flexible. And who knows what the possibilities are? And that's great for the candidates,
Yeah.
but it's also a message for the companies. So many, because they use AI
Yeah.
to go through resumes and check that it's so rigid because it's AI and AI is not thinking. AI is repetitive. And so companies, leaders, you need that same curiosity because especially with consumers are changing now. It's such a dynamic,
Definitely.
it's so dynamic. People are thinking differently. Young people, Gen Z, what was happening on Tuesday is not happening on Thursday. And you have to think differently. So these companies need to have people in those positions who have that flexibility and aren't like, it's just a cookie cutter of what they think the job should be.
Right. I think the other thing I'd like to see more women do, especially young leaders, is going back to your flexibility conversation, is that a lot of young women feel like they have to nail every single component of a job description. And what you're saying is a little bit different,
Yep.
which is, be curious. Yeah, you might have 3 out of 5 skills, but go for it. Don't think you have to have that tick box of every skill to apply or to go after jobs.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if I use my own, like at the beginning of my career, so my degree is in radio, television, and film.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to be Oprah.
Oh,
I
you
did.
could have been Oprah.
Well, there is only one Oprah. And I discovered that very quickly. But that's and I had a radio show. I did the whole thing. Like, I love that part. Like, I loved it. I write now, like, So when I was interviewing with Macy's executive training program, I couldn't rely on what I knew. So I didn't have any of the check boxes, right? But the recruiter had enough conversations with me. He was like, "Oh, you're interesting. You have a sense of fashion. You kind of know what's going on in the marketplace. You should meet some people." And I was open to that. Sure, I'll meet some people. At first, I was like, wait, retail? I can't work retail because all I knew about retail was stores. And I worked part time in stores. I'm like, I might make a living out of that. But by being open, I was able to learn and the aptitude, the testing and the interviewing, I showed up as myself and was, I think, confident enough as a young person to say, I don't know this, but I know that. And so that message is really important to especially young women, to your point, because most don't do that.
They don't.
They don't understand what it is to just show up as yourself and be okay with asking questions. Like I learned so much more because I wasn't trying to be something else.
That's
And I
right.
think they saw that. And so I just went in as a consumer. And then, if it was time to change the floor, I was like, that's not selling anymore. I think it's time for me to do a floor move, right? Like, or a change. And I would sit with a visual or go to my group manager and say, I want to do a change. And I had like these models that I would play with because I didn't know any different.
Right. Of
Right.
course.
Or I went to the local, distributor because Spud McKenzie was the big thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, hey, I see young men going to these other stores. You have Spud girls? They were like, yeah. I'm like, can they come to Macy's? Can they come to my young men's floor? And it just like being curious.
I love that. And were you at the keynote today
I was.
with Ed Stack? I mean, there's so many things I learned from
Uh,
him, and I loved his whole leadership and the dynamic.
oh, I love the diamond.
I got to teach the diamond.
I wrote that
Oh,
down.
but
The
anyway,
diamond org chart.
I'm definitely going to do a lecture on the diamond work chart. But one of the things that really kind of stood out to me is when he said, listen, if you have to be the smartest person in the room, this is not the place for you.
Right.
And that's what we're saying. You don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. It's the most curious person in the room.
That's right.
The one that doesn't know everything, that really is successful
Yeah.
at exporting this, right?
Right. And you take
anywhere.
chances anywhere. Well, one of my jobs was Nine West. And at the time I was the SVP of merchandising, stores, and planning and allocation and product. It's weird. But they brought in a gentleman who had been with Clark's, and Bob was rough and he intimidated some people. I thought he was the coolest guy ever. Like I really did to this day, like, because if you were in it, so was he. And he would come to my sales meetings and he was kind of like a consultant because he had done this for so long and they wanted to make sure, And so I said in one of my meetings, I said, oh my God, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Can somebody please? And after the meeting, he said to me, he was like, you're going to go far because you get it.
Yeah.
He said, I think you do need to make some changes to your team because they are depending on you to be the smartest person in the room. So you don't really have any leaders.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, I want to move to a different topic.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to say this because I know it's all over the NRF show this year. AI. So let's talk about AI and maybe how that relates to the workforce.
Well, I think obviously AI is coming and it's coming quickly. But if you are a person or even a company who is saying, oh, AI is coming, I'm going to save money and it's going to replace my team, and you're in retail, I think you're smoking something, right?
Yeah.
Because you have forgotten what's the core of this business. The core of the business is the consumer. And while obviously it's AI. So if you have a question, if you want data about that group, if you want anything, sure, ask AI. But if you only use AI to make your decisions, then you're not going to be in business very long, right? Use it as a complement to the talented people who are there to think to be dynamic, and to be curious,
Right.
right? What can this information tell me that I don't know about my consumer that will complement what I know from being out into this in the stores or being on a customer service call? If you're a D2C,
Yeah.
you can be there so quickly. Get on the phone,
Right.
right? Have a call with your consumer and then look at the AI information. When I was, in planning and allocation, Sunday was terrible because I'd have to get the reports.
Oh, I remember going down
right?
and getting all those
Yeah, you
reports.
go down, you get the reports, you're reading through,
Oh
right?
God.
And you're
It's
drawing
crazy.
conclusions. That time is gone because AI exists.
That's
So
right.
all of that, you don't need those reports. Here's my prompt. Here's the information. But what you do need is you need to be able to interpret and understand that information so that when you're making decisions,
Exactly.
that is what you can do. Does that mean that your job goes away? It means your job changes, and it does mean that some jobs go away, but your job doesn't have to leave if you're prepared for that change. And how do you become prepared? It's a wild, wild west. Ohio State just introduced AI training as part of
That's great.
their curriculum, but they just did it. There are lots of programs out there. I will tell you that you learn the best by doing it. And don't be afraid of it.
Absolutely.
There's so many different things. If you want to start with Chat GPT, start with Chat GPT. I always talk about, someone introduced me to Perplexity.
Oh yeah.
Love Perplexity. You can ask Perplexity anything. And now Perplexity even gives me updates.
Yeah.
Right. So it keeps me
That's great.
informed. But there's so many between Gemini and Copilot and Claude and it just goes on and on and on and on. You can do graphics, Canva is meh when it comes to the AI, but
Right.
there are some other programs out there that are fantastic.
That's right.
I needed a new headshot and I couldn't get in with my photographer.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Your headshot's AI?
It's my actual picture.
I love it.
And then I had a picture of my new hair because in my old picture, my face is the same, but my hair is short and it's not gray. And as you can see, I'm gray. And so I went in and I talked to a photographer and I said, well, how do I do this? Because I don't have time and I don't want people to walk past me and not recognize me. And they told me, put both in and just tell them, keep, prompted to this. This is, I want to maintain my face, my and replace this with that. And so my picture, it looks like me. It's just I have new hair.
It does.
Right. And I changed my suit.
I love it. That's great. So what excites me most about AI in the workforce is that the what if scenario. So like if you're working in product development, or you're working in marketing, like if you gave me a marketing task, I would go and do it and I would maybe give you 2 or 3 different versions because that's all the time allows, right? But now if you have all this resources, I can come back with 30 different versions and I can pick out the 3 best for one item, 3 best for one campaign, 4 best for another. And it's like all of a sudden now I can do genius work because I'm not limited by time.
That's exactly right. And if you know how, you can make AI your partner, because in addition to all those options, you can say, okay, this is my desired outcome. Which do you recommend?
Exactly.
And they will give you all those options. It doesn't tell you which one to choose, but it says, here's my recommendation. Out of 5 options, my recommendation are, option 3 and option 5. And here's why.
I love it.
It's the best. If you're afraid of it, it's the worst.
No, you got to play with it. I encourage everyone to play with it.
Play with it and understand how to make it your friend and, your secret sauce, right?
That's right.
What's your AI superpower? So that when you're walking into interviews, you can say, oh yes. And in addition to this, here are examples of how I would prompt that or how I might use AI to enhance my role. Because people want someone who's thinking ahead and is looking for that white space so that they can move their business forward. So use it as an advantage. Don't be afraid of it.
I agree. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much. It
Thank
was a pleasure
you.
having you, and I look forward to seeing you around the show. And of course, I'll see you hopefully in Columbus soon.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
I'm so excited to be here. Shelley Cohan, Retail Unwrapped, and I have Marie Driscoll here, which is very exciting, live and in the flesh.
Thanks, Shelley.
So-
Great to be here with you.
I am so happy to have you here. So you don't need an introduction because you're so well known in the industry, but Marie Driscoll founded Driscoll Advisors. But this is the second year we're here at the NRF show, and this is the second year you've been nominated as a NRF Retail Voice.
Yeah, kind of amazing, right?
That
I
is-
talk too much.
No, that's not what it is. It's are such a impactful voice for our industry. So
Oh,
congratulations on
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
And of course, you're a retail expert
Yeah.
by Rethink Retail.
Right?
And I could go on and on and on. And selfishly, I am going to say one more thing. That is, you're a professor and
Mhm.
you're helping to educate our next generation of students. So you're a
Yeah.
professor at Fashion Institute of Technology, as well as Parsons and
At the City University of New York, too.
in the city of,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So thank you for helping to bring the next generation of leaders forward.
Thank
That is
you.
awesome.
You too. Same thing,
Thank
right?
you.
Back
Yes.
right back at you.
So today I'd love to. So last night you did a LinkedIn post, which was fantastic, talking about what you're seeing at the show.
Yeah. I am like, I'm so excited coming into 2026, right? It's like, I feel like it's the new next, right?
Yep.
The next new. Very excited. Like we're moving so rapidly. Last year was such a crazy year with tariffs, right? Like you could never get ahead of yourself. AI was talked about all the time. This year, I think we're really going to see some AI really at work. And I think we're finding some really practical ways to use it. And it's not just about the CEO pushing it down to everyone. It's like he's saying, yes, we're buying in, but now pick the right spots for it. And it's not necessarily right in each function of retail.
No,
right?
you have to pick and choose based on the company, right?
Right,
For
right.
sure.
But so, like what I heard that I was so excited about was at Dick's Sporting Goods, it's like, I wrote that they're the next American department store in a good way, in the fact that so many people are walking through them. They are a reflection of the culture, what's important to the culture. And the more they assort to that woman who's buying for her children, the more their sales are going to grow. And they're opening more stores. They're opening bigger stores. And I think that, culturally, with the focus on sports and the focus on wellness, this is an amazing place. And I can see how this is becoming so exciting for shoppers around the country. And there's a real focus there on team. The CEO said, the higher you go in your corporate ladder, the more you should listen and not talk.
I love that.
Right. It's like
It was great.
Right. You want to hear what the consumer is saying and who's hearing that. It's not the CEO. But that brings me to a point. I saw a panel that had Mango, Victoria's Secrets, and Coach on. And at Coach, they're going back to basics, customer insight, which has been part of their DNA from 1980 when Lou Frankfurt went over. But now it's not in just the silo of customer insights. It's the CEO and it's the brand presidents going to customers' homes, spending time with them, seeing how Coach fits into their life, not how we're going to put this on your body, right?
That's right.
And it's such a different, so it's a mindset change. And that's what I'm hearing. And that's what's so exciting.
That is exciting. I have to remember back. So remember Samsung,
Mm-hmm.
when they were making refrigerators,
Right?
they would actually go into the home of the consumer and sit there and watch them. And they would ask questions like, why do you do this? Or why do you do that? So when they designed a new refrigerator, it had to do with how you're actually using it. So
Right.
Coach is now doing this,
Right.
which is very exciting. 'Cause
Right,
that's
right.
where it all starts.
Right, right. One thing, and the woman from Victoria's Secret, and we've watched Victoria's Secret do a
yes.
turnaround, and the woman from Victoria's Secret said, you want to focus on where you can have real the momentous occasions, not the marginal occasions. And that's where,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and like build to your strengths. It's easier to make good better than it is to make just like to make bad good, right?
Right.
It's like
Right.
make good better and keep doing, and it's iterative. And that's what's so exciting about retail, right? It's like every day there's something that you can learn from yesterday. And that's what, what's it? Shane Greenlee, who was from Mango, that's what he said was the mantra at Mango, which has opened 50 stores in 2 years.
Crazy.
They're at like 63. They're opening more. And like, how do you do that? He's so invested in his associates. And everybody is talking about being in the store more. And for me, like with like, oh, say, 75 to 80% of sales occurring in the store, you do have to know what the consumer is doing in the store, what matters in the store. And can we capture some of the data that's happening in the store?
Absolutely.
Right?
So I kind of look to you as kind of like the guru of luxury because
Uh-huh.
you really cover a lot of luxury. So tell me, what's going on in the space of luxury?
Right. So, luxury really got ahead of its skis in the last few years in terms of pricing. I mean, COVID like brought a whole lot of a new swath of buyers, partly because they had nothing else to do. Luxury created this vavoom experience. And in the dearth of experiences that we had in 21 and 22, luxury was a place to go and get it. 23 and 24, they started to move away as they got back to traveling. They got back to eating out. They went to the theater. And then you all of a sudden had the inflation and, 23% inflation for average customer goods. And for luxury, they were increasing prices like that. So if most people play in luxury via handbags, footwear, beauty and sunglasses, those kind of accessories and beauty, with prices up sometimes double digit and more,
Crazy.
it's turned off your true luxury consumer and your your aspirational customer who is saying these prices are too high, it's not worth it. At the same time the quality deteriorated.
Right.
So it really became, so for a true luxury customer, it's like, so the handbag went from $6,000 to $12,000 and it's not as good as it was when it,
Yeah.
so that customer, it's opened the platform for people to consider new brands. And so if you go into
Interesting.
Bergdorf's, if you go into Bloomingdale's, there's a whole swath of new brands that are, in terms of apparel pricing, under $3,000.
Mhm.
In terms of handbags, under the same thing.
Right.
And this is like, number one, they're new. And fashion is about newness.
Newness.
Luxury can be about heritage, but it's got to be fashionable too. And I think it's like another thing that happened to luxury, right? Like really this dovetailing of so many different events is you've got with sales stalling in 23 and 24, like really flatlining in 24 and 25. And when you think that there were price increases, units were down, profits were down. So maybe this year they'll stabilize and start up again. But with that happening, you have you, you know, you had the executives at these houses of luxury brands move around the designers.
Oh yeah.
And so the designers are doing musical chairs and so as a consumer, you're saying, well, do I follow them or do I stay with the brand? And like, why don't it kind of is, there's a certain amount of cognitive dissonance and well, let me look at some other brands. And there are other brands now.
Right. Right.
And you see them online, you see them on the arms of, celebrities, you see some influencers talking about them, and then you see them at Bloomingdale's and at Bergdorf's and, at your luxury department
Right.
stores.
So let me ask you a question. Is that aspirational shopper? Have they they gone away? Are they still there?
So
what happened to them?
it depends what strata they are of aspirational. And really there were, I remember coming to NRF 2 years ago, and the president of Americas from LVMH was on stage, and he said, and he was contending with questions about the consumer is hard hit with inflation and all these
Right.
other categories. Is there still room for luxury to grow? And he said, we like to think that luxury is sticky. And luxury is sticky because it's the best quality,
Right.
unless it deteriorates, right?
Right.
And it does have this emotional component, and it can make you feel sated, right? It's not like fast food. I want another, I want
Right,
another, which is
right.
what fast fashion does,
Right.
right? But but there were a lot of people that entered the market that really maybe they'll buy one bag a year if they buy that, and maybe they won't. Maybe they won't go back to the bag they bought in 2022 and 23. Maybe they'll explore.
Yeah.
But certainly, like the economy. I just sat in on the economic outlook here at NRF, and we have a kind of K-shaped economy. People in the middle are squeezed, but they still have 401ks, and the market has done so well that there is this wealth effect that's hitting middle and upper income.
Right.
And the spending is happening amongst upper income. And upper income is like anything from like 160,000 on up.
Mhm.
And they're probably driving a lot of the business, but
Right.
they're also spending on travel. Like Americans were not your true luxury shoppers. They bought luxury sporadically until COVID, right? Our luxury was European. It was China drove the luxury
Oh,
market.
sure.
And I didn't even talk about how China and Russia kind of got out of the market post-COVID,
Right.
right?
Of course.
And so there's been a lot of impacts that have hurt luxury. And this year, while they all are not coming together, I think we're sitting in a better place.
No, that's good to hear. So the other thing I want to ask you about is, so you have a very interesting perspective on brands
Mhm.
versus retailers. So
Right.
talk to us a little bit about the difference between the two.
Well, so, you know, a lot of brands are direct to consumer, which makes them a retailer.
Right.
But a retailer, what's the expertise that a retailer has to have? They have to understand real estate. They have to understand hiring people. And they have to understand, they have to curate their store to their local environment, to their local customer. They have to understand merchandising, promotions, right? All that. It's like a lot. Branding, like you go and work for a brand and you have a singular point of view. You understand the dream. And Shelley, you probably know from years in retail that, if you went to like a Ralph Lauren showroom, you had the ambiance that you get at the flagship, right?
Absolutely.
It like all the, and I mean, any brand would do that for you. Like if it's a swimsuit brand, they fit it, they have waves in the background and they have surfboards and,
It's so true.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mai Tais on the corner. But but when you put the brand in a store that sells many brands, it's totally different.
Yeah.
And retailers do that.
Right.
And retail, and one thing that brands don't always do well is their own retail, because they understand how to make a dream that's kind of static. They manufacture, they make beautiful product, they have great marketing, but now they're in front of people. And how do they sell this to somebody else?
Right.
That's a real skill, right? Not everybody knows how to. It's one thing to draw the wonderful pieces and engage people online or in a magazine. And I've seen so many brands that are incredible legacy brands. And I don't mean necessarily luxury, but that when they open stores, they don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been doing analysis of our business for
A long time. Yeah.
okay, decades.
Yes.
So tell me, as you look into 2026, what were some of the key things that you are finding from a consumer perspective going into 2026?
So from a consumer perspective, I think the consumer is sitting in the best seat, right? It's like there's so many choices, you have so much optionality. And I think that retailers are really creating services for their customers. So I think, like, think about Nordstrom. If you spend a certain amount in Nordstrom, they have an icon lounge. You get to go there as often as you want. And I don't mean that you have to spend a lot of money. You go there as often as you want. You can have a free drink. alcoholic or non-alcoholic, in a room that has windows overlooking Broadway. And there's TVs there, and you also can have a little snack and a little hors d'oeuvre. You can meet your friends there. You get a little reprieve, and then you go back and shop again. And I really think that, like, oh my God, this is so hospitable. You also get at that level, like $300 worth of tailoring. Oh my gosh, how convenient is that? So for the consumer though, like there's so many, I think that there's so many different choices. There's so many different
Yeah,
places
there
where
is.
you can buy. There's marketplaces for you. I think like, and for retailers, like how do they make money in this environment? And it can't be through promotion. Like we write for the Robin Report.
Right.
And Robin Lewis would always say, you can't cut your way to profitability.
It's a race to the bottom.
Right.
That's what he used to say to me
Right.
all the time. It's a
And-
race to the bottom.
And it's like,
it's so
that's
true.
it's horrible.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And somebody, the woman at Victoria's Secrets yesterday said, we are speaking to her emotionally. That's
Right.
what David Lauren at Ralph Lauren says. We're not talking to them about promotions. Lauren never talks about
Never.
promotion.
Yeah.
But you just like, once you go there, like it's hard to come back.
So I think to sum it up, value, very important going into 2026.
Mhm.
Community,
Yes.
creating a community, and then that in-store experiential retail that
Right.
kind of bonds the consumer to the brand.
Right. And of course, like online is super important. Make it frictionless. Make it so easy to connect with what I've seen in the online, in the store, even though we know online is an endless aisle and in the store there is space constraints, but connected.
Yep.
Yeah.
Connected retail.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marie. It's been great having you here. Thank you so
my
much.
pleasure. Thanks.
We're back on tradition.
Oh my God. I am so excited. We're here at the NRF show, Retail Unwrapped, and I'm thrilled to have, this is like tradition every year for the
Every
past,
year.
what,
Few
3
ye-
5 years?
Yeah, it's been a few
I've had
years.
you on. So this is Dominic Miserandio. I never
Miserandino.
That's it.
Miserandino.
He is the founder and CEO of
RTM Nexus.
RTM
Nexus.
Retail Tech Media
Nexus. You got it.
So tell me what the heck has been happening over the past year. What are you seeing?
Oh.
I'm dying to hear your insights.
It has been a whirlwind of a year. I have gone to 15 conferences this calendar year. 15. Yeah. I've done Boston for the day kind of thing. I've flown all over. It is conference back to back. In the industry, I've seen a lot, and our business RTM Nexus has gone crazy. I've done also a lot of facilitation with retailers, helping the conversations on the C-suite. So that's really given me insights.
I'm dying to hear your insights from that.
Yeah, on the facilitation side, the job is just getting them out of their silos. And I think what happens, I've seen this for 30 years. There's something new, and could be anything. Social media, new media, Google, our retail media networks in general, and AI. And they all get siloed in that.
I know,
thing.
right? It's so true.
And they almost forget, and you just have to get the conversation going. Why did you start this business? What is the thing the customer wants? And that's why I always lean towards experiential, because at the end of the day, the customer wants to be happy. When I saw you today, I was happy. You know, like you see things that makes you happy. And that's the purpose of this. Anyone can go to Amazon or Temu and
right.
press a button and then put the joy. That's the whole purpose. And that's kind of what I'm doing the facilitation with these retailers. All I'm doing is encouraging the conversation, saying, what do you see that makes the customer feel joy, essentially?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what experiential retail means to you and how that translates into our industry over the next year.
I think we have evolved into a non-experiential transactional, meaning DoorDash, press the button. Uber Eats, press the button. And the consumer is saying, yeah, that's awesome. But sometimes I like a pop-up. Sometimes I want to know. I recently bought a tux. I was very fortunate. Went to the Fashion Gala Institute's big event in Rainbow Room. Oh, yeah?
Nice.
So I had to get the tux and everything. And the experience at the Suit Supply made the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, you walk
They're
in,
great.
here's the coffee, and let's help you measure you, and here's your measurements whenever you want to get anything. And in fact, the sales guy said something like, oh, if you need to get this and this, just use our measurements. So I thought it was brilliant because the non-sale use our measurements elsewhere, encourage the sale.
Right.
But that's been since the dawn of time in retail and sales and in business. Experiential is a human connection. And with that being the priority,
Love that.
sales work.
Yeah. I have to say, I was recently in Lululemon, and sometimes there's like a small disconnect. And I love Lululemon. I love the product. It's great. It's awesome. But I was in Wall Street having a day with my son.
Yep.
And so we went to Lululemon. I bought 2 things. They needed to be hemmed, and I can sew. I can do my own sewing and stuff. So I was going to sew it. And she's like, oh, we hem them for free. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's great. But I have to come back here to pick it up. See, that's a disconnect. Like, it's great that you're offering that service, but I live, 40 miles north of the city. I'm not going to travel 2 hours to come pick up I'm going to hem them myself. So
Oh, I love that.
it's disconnects like that retail. Like, I would have rather paid $5 for them to ship it to me hemmed than give it to me free and have me come all the way down, which would, quite frankly, cost me about $40.
Well, it's funny you say disconnect and connect, because that's been, I think, the secret to success with RTM Next is what we're doing is the connection. I will send for our events. I will conservatively send 100 texts. I'll wake up at 6 a.m., schedule them for 9 a.m. so no one thinks I'm crazy, but it will be personal. I reached out to you. Been a while. I miss you. How are you doing? And people want that. I think we're in this world, especially with AI. Dear Shelley, how are things going at the Robin Report? Life good. And you can sense it.
Yeah.
How often do you have kids will say, my daughter will do it all the time. Oh, that's made by AI. We know it in our gut when it's not authentic. And the reality is we crave connection as humans. We would not be alive. If there's any differentiator, and I've lectured some students about this on AI in general, the differentiator is the authenticity and the connection.
Right.
It's very good at authentic. It's really good at press the button, DoorDash, have a nice day. So like when I'm putting on these events, the reason I think they're working, or when we do the webinar, the people attending, I'm reaching out. Shelley, this will be of interest to you because of this, because I remember the time we sat and talked and we had this moment. You have to seek those emotional connections of humanity.
So how can retailers think about on scale, how can they humanize?
Yeah, I think first of all, scale is the key. That's the pause. And we, from a business perspective, with every reason, look at it from the perspective of scale with the non-humanness. To me, the trick is when I was CMO of Adorama Picks, I literally said, give me a list of our top 200 customers. Now, I can't reach everybody, but I called on the way from Long Island to Brooklyn, customers. They thought it was nuts every day. I got through that 200 and I wanted to call. And part of it was using their data to implement. What do you want? Oh, I'd love to see a tour of the factory. We'll make a tour. What do you want? I want a better coupon system. We'll figure that out. I want to feel like when I call the office, I'm getting an answer. We'll change that system. Now, I couldn't reach all. There was just no way to reach the tens of thousands of people. I could certainly reach a few hundred.
Right.
And use that data to start to infer. And then I think what happens, at one point we were also doing weekly Facebook Lives talking to the customers. You can infer that. You could say, hey, I reached out to everyone and this really means a lot to me. And I think that's the trick. So Lululemon or something, maybe you're talking to the customers and they're saying, I had to get the measurements and it really drove me nuts. And the solution to that is we're going to train the whole team. And we're going to make an announcement. You need it. We're going to guarantee we'll get this measurement done in this time.
Right.
And you're addressing that human need, which I guarantee your human pain was felt by others.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So you identify the individual need and magnify it on scale from the business where applicable. Now, the challenge becomes when it's difficult.
Right.
But you can work towards that goal as much as you can. Say, what is the generalized human need that I've learned from talking to people? It's in the lobby. The other thing I did, I'm sorry to give two answers to it, but I feel passionate.
You can give 3 answers.
Oh, I'll try. I sat in the lobby at Olympics. I took my laptop and I sat in the lobby where people were walking in, just sat there. Worked like a normal day, and I'd listen, watching. I studied Yiddish. Ik ga dan de Yiddish, willen speaking in New York. And I did it to overhear the Orthodox community. I wanted to understand, what are they saying? And then you're starting to hear the same words. What is you're hearing? Wait, that woman said this woman said this woman said this. What does that mean, that word? I don't know it, but can you help me out here? And too often we're in the ivory tower, 50,000-foot view in the air, but that logic doesn't make sense to me at times. You still have to take your product, throw it against the wall, walk in the store, buy your product. That's a necessity.
Yeah.
It's a complete necessity to it all.
So tell me, what is RTM?
RTM Nexus.
And what are you doing?
Yeah, Retail, Tech, Media Nexus. We're connecting retail, tech, and media in general.
Excellent.
I always felt the equation. I've been on the media side of the world at first, getting pitched by the retailers. Can you cover my this or this or this? And then I noticed I feel like there was a line, the B2C and the B2B.
Oh, there's definitely delineation for sure.
And I noticed I was well aware. So the retailers were calling me for traffic, for how do I sell the product? How do I get more sales? And I'd go in and flip over e-commerce companies left, right, and center saying, this is how you scale it up. The B2B side of that delineation, I noticed, was not talking almost to the consumer.
Right.
From the media side, I started seeing the voice of the consumer. So retail, tech, media, we're connecting the retailers to the media. I've gotten retailers on TV and I've gotten the board jobs and I've helped retailers get their career further. On the tech side, we have tech companies calling us saying, how do I connect to these retailers? So with Nexus being the connection amongst them all.
That. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's been going really great. I'm really happy with the number of events and the number of webinars and our newsletters at a record level, our podcast is at a record level. So it's been good.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Any closing thoughts from you today?
I think I'm thrilled being here at NRF with you because it's reflective of what this industry needs.
Yes.
It's people. It needs that moment that I texted you saying, hey, I'm around. Let's talk. And you texted me, let's get together. Let's do it. And that energy, imagine if more people in retail said, hey, you wanted that product this morning. I found it on the shelves and I'd love you to come in and I'm so sorry. You wanted this or that. Oh, I miss you. It's so good to see you. We need that connection.
Definitely. I
That's
also
it.
see a lot more collaboration in our industry, which is great.
Let's collaborate.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks
I
for
love
being
it.
here.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Hi, Shelley Cohan here, Retail Unwrapped. I'm so excited. We're here at the NRF live in person. I have Gary Sankry with me from Esri.
Yep.
And he manages the industry solutions.
Correct.
Right?
For the retail industry.
For retail. So
Yeah.
we're excited to have you here. So let's start by tell us a little bit about the company first,
Okay.
and then I'll ask you for some insights.
So we do mapping, geospatial analytics. We help retailers understand why things happen where they do. And we help them, if it's a good thing, it happen more often. And if it's a bad thing, we try to mitigate the bad stuff.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So when you talk about this location services, is it inside stores? Is it outside stores? Is it across the
All of the
globe?
above. All of the above. So
Excellent.
everything from global all the way down to the neighborhood, down to inside the store. So we're all about maps. The scale of the maps, it is really irrelevant. It's all about taking data and applying it into the map.
That's great. So tell me, what have you been seeing over the past year?
So really it's all about localization, right? So if I take my role at Esri out of the picture, retailers have really come to understand that localization, personalization is critical, right? I write that up because I know, like, especially in the United States, I come from Target. So I was at Target for like 30 years.
Wow.
And in that role, I mean, we were opening 200 stores a year. And when you do that, you can cover up a lot of sin. We don't do that anymore. Retailers in general aren't doing that, but they still have the same growth expectations from their shareholders and from the management that they had before. So to be able to do that, you've got to do more with the locations that you have. And the way that you're doing that is through Esri, And with ArcGIS, you're able to bring in, geographic data and look for discrete correlations to help you understand, again, why is this store performing this way? Why is that store performing that way? Why is that particular category? Who are my customers here? What do I think they're going to like based on the demographics, based on the psychographics, all that kind of stuff.
That's amazing. So you're looking at lots of data, you're analyzing the data, and then you allow retailers to make real-time decisions based on that?
Exactly. So the retailers can bring the data in and they can reflect it in a map and looking at different layers. So I came over from Target. I actually didn't know what Esri was. I didn't know what GIS was, but I retail as well. And what I learned to kind of settle in on, and what I've realized, the secret sauce for what we do is this ability to bring in all of this kind of disparate data. So if you think about a store, all right, so I'm going back to, grocery chain ABC. I've got a store that's in a particular market. I've got a bunch of data that tells me about the lifestyle of the people around that store. I also have data that tells me where the people who shop in that area come from. So I can also apply that kind of information. I might have data about product performance. I might have data about my competitors, all different kinds of things. It's all in a geographic layer. And I don't have to normalize it in GIS. I can use location as that unstructured join and use that label and look for correlations in that data.
That's amazing. And so do you create like a dashboard of some sort that retailers can use?
So we create dashboards. We also just create geospatial analysis. So create a hotspot. I can throw that hotspot into a dashboard. I can also create a story map that tells a whole story to help them understand, like how one of the variables is the temporal changes that happen in the store.
So what are you most excited about for 2026?
Well, all right. So I see this, there's a little bit of agentic AI down there, right? Just a wee bit.
The entire 2 floors of the jackets.
But I think when I think about geo AI, because we're right in the middle of that, and I'm an old guy, so I'm a slow adopter, but I really think what it's doing, I'm going to be an outlier here and say there's not innovate. What drives retail success is innovation and design, in my opinion. But what the AI is helping us do is really expand the scope of the things that we can look at. So in our case, I can bring even more data sets and find correlations that I may have never stumbled across.
Right.
And I think, when the geo AI is really cooking with gas, which we're there, is it's going to be able to say, I ask it a question like, hey, I want to know where's a store I can sell really high-end lifestyle products. And I think it's going to be a store that's in a high income neighborhood and, whatever it might be. When it's able to come back and say, yes or no, but here's 2 other things you didn't even think about, you might want to consider as well. That's what I think is going to be revolution.
That's very helpful. So what else would you like to add? Anything else that you would like to add in terms of what great work that you're doing and how you can help retailers be better retailers?
Well, I think the other thing that I'm really excited about is we're really getting into the world of loss prevention, asset protection.
Really?
Right. So we talk a lot about margin growth and sustainable growth, and now taking a look at, if you think about all the law enforcement agencies out there are all using GIS, they're using it for dispatch and that sort of thing. I can now use that same discipline at a retailer. So if I'm a retailer that has an asset protection loss prevention team, I can use our tool as a sensor platform. So I can be able to see where my cameras are. I can be able to see where I'm getting hit and look for patterns in those types of activities to do the same sorts of analysis to say, either to help with the prevention.
Right.
Like, today when I walk back to my hotel and I dive into a Dwayne Reed, and it's like, I'm not buying anything here because I got to find somebody to unlock every one of these little
so
things.
Frustrating.
But do I need that in every single store?
Right.
Well, yeah, you do. Well, actually, maybe you don't. And maybe you don't need it by category. And the GIS can help you figure out how you can still preserve a customer experience, but at the same time, try to manage some of those negative things that are happening in your store.
Yeah, that's very frustrating, especially when you're trying to shop and you go to stores and you can't get to the product. The customers just walk out, or they go just get it online.
Absolutely.
And have it delivered to their door so they don't have to go through that frustration.
That's right. And then you miss out on all of the upsales.
Exactly.
Right. So
the whole basket's gone.
the market basket goes away, which is a bad thing.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So it's been great. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just delighted. I've been here was trying to, I can't lost count because I came here as a Target guy and now I've been coming for 10 years as Esri guy. This show is always kind of the highlight of it. They could move it 2 more weeks into January if you want to, but
Yeah, I
it's really, it's just always, I'm always come here and I always find something to get excited about to work on for the year.
I do too. I think I've been coming for like 30 years. Like,
Yeah,
isn't
I
that
think I'm at
crazy?
20. Yeah.
Do you remember back in the day? It used to be shelving units and POS.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Cash boxes.
Cash
Yeah, all operational stuff, and maybe a solution provider or two in the back corner. Absolutely.
Yeah. What'd you do at Target?
I was in the merchandising organization, so I did. I went through the buying ranks.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, and I did the. I went into merchandising operations. I ran a planogram team and store planning, and
I love that. That's great for what you're doing now because
Yeah,
you
it's
really
been fun.
understand the back of house piece of it, which is
right,
important.
it's been fun, and my daughter just got her first job out of college at Ann Taylor, and I told
What?
her, congratulations, you're now the 4th generation Sankry in the retail biz.
What school did you graduate from?
University of Delaware.
Nice. That's congratulations.
Not
That's
in, like
amazing.
most retailers, not in retail, but not in business. She was an art conservation major, but
Oh,
here
that's
she
great
is.
though.
Yeah, she's excited.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was
All
great
right.
having
Well,
you as a
thank you. It
guest
was nice to
today.
meet you.
Nice meeting you.